people often ask the idea about Pan-Africanism. What is it? For me, it's not a theoretical, just political or ideological thing that one has in one's brain. It's what one does every single day, how one lives, everything you do. So a clear indication for me, for example, Pan-Africanism is to clean your room. You clean your room, you're making a statement of Pan-Africanism because you're creating an environment in which you, as someone of African descent, can be, live, breathe. Yeah. Another example of Pan-Africanism is to wash your body. By having your body clean, then your mind and body is able to be receptive to carry out the functions that it needs to do during the day. Another example of Pan-Africanism is to wash your clothes. So this may seem very contrite, what I'm saying, but it's very important. It's fundamental things that people don't actually remember or don't think about. And many people say, well, that's got nothing to do with Pan-Africanism, but it has, because Pan-Africanism is about levity. It's about the way that you live every day. It's also about being financially independent. Not a capitalist mind, because I'm firmly opposed to capitalism, but I'm firmly in favor of financial independence. You must have enough financial resources to live and to survive. I also believe it's about owning the place that you live in, actually being in a place that's yours. And you own. And that's also a fundamental thing about Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is also about being politically and ideologically and spiritually connected to other African people. So it's about being connected to a larger organization or group and supporting that larger organization or group and ensuring that that group supports people of African descent everywhere in the world. It could be a small group or a large group. The size of it is not important, but the intentions behind it firmly are. To be a Pan-Africanist is not about being in isolation, although of course one has to individually make oneself better. One also needs to be connected collectively to a wider body, physically, mentally, and spiritually, that is doing something to help liberate and bring African people forward. That's a fundamental part of Pan-Africanism. And one has to commit a certain portion of one's time, energy, and effort to the wider group. This is also fundamentally important. Being a Pan-African is also about being connected to other people of African descent. It isn't about being in splendid isolation. But then, of course, the problem is which people of African descent should one be connected to, bearing in mind the condition of people of African descent in the diaspora and in the continent of Africa, since that many people of African descent are beladen with the same problems that we've just been talking about and are themselves very, very sick and will make you sick and make your family sick by having those connections with them. It doesn't mean that by default, simply because they look like you, that automatically you should let them into every aspect of your being and your existence. It doesn't mean that. But it does mean that you need to be connected to some group in some form or shape that is trying to change the condition and situation of people of African descent and ultimately make the world a better place. Africanus.